Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Nikolas White featuring Wynn Calcutt titled Tidal Wave, and if we switch over to here we have ourselves a track on the screen. I should note here that Nikolas White is the producer in this as I understand it, and Wynn Calcutt is the rapper. So we're going to listen through this track from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. I'm also going to be scoring this track on a few different criteria. We'll show those at the end, but for now, let's go. Let's do it. Really pretty synths to start things off. Clean claps.
Losing sleep, so I might start a fight club. Tyler Durden, leave you hurting after party slight buzz. Influenza from my pencil, tell me I don't write suds. You used all that energy and it was just a slight punch. Well, fuck, might fly out to Amsterdam in case I blow up. I'm spending hella nights in different airports like I'm Snowden. I want a lot of money just to waste so I can throw it. Don't interfere with passions, cause your life is how you show it. Hey, explanations, well, I really can't say. I've been writing different verses, taking up most of my days. It's the attitude I keep, cause I'm not one for all to play. Manifesting every sentence, hoping this my big break. Yeah.
I like the fact that he's talking about his journey as a vocalist here. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing within the genre, but it seems nice and authentic and very sort of like down to earth. I think the bass and the drums behind it suit it very well as well.
Different problems, I keep them at my crib. I don't get too many commas, but I still love to live. You plot on how to stop them, my downfall been your wish. My flow sound like a sauna, it's harder than a pitch. Yeah, now we hit it, just like a tidal wave. And you grin it, wipe that smile off your face. On the Civic, I whip it, now I'm right back at your place. So expensive, don't mention, I still need 100K. And now we hit it, just like a tidal wave. And you grin it, wipe that smile off your face. On the Civic, I whip it, now I'm right back at your place. So expensive, don't mention, I still need 100K.
And what I like about it as well is we've included the tidal wave now, hit it like a tidal wave, so it's easy to understand how tidal kind of comes into it. But also these guitar lines on the side, the brum bum 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 bum, they're a nice cool response to brum bum bum upper octave synth part. And they're in different parts of the stereo field, so you're going back and forth between those whilst you listen to the story and vibe along to the bass and drums.
Now my career ain't big kick-started, they gon' leave you broken-hearted. Put the work in, go the hardest, you could be your favorite author. Off the top, I feel like sparking, they can't stop, so just keep marching. If you wanna be the greatest, you could live just like the Carters. Hella sponsors, don't drop them, it's all just mental fluid. I'm taking all the shame, but I just gotta fucking do it. And you could do the same if you just listen to the music. Just get outside your brain and act upon what keeps you moving. Don't act stupid, don't be fake, don't take another free break. This life is all just free range, ain't nobody heard that we take. We insane on weekdays, the hardest in the city, yeah. Wait, the hardest in the city, yeah. I got several different problems, I keep them at my crib. I don't get too many commas, but I still love to live. You plot on how to stop them, my downfall been your wish. My flow sound like a sauna, it's harder than a pitch.
Thoughts are like a sauna is hotter than your bitch. See, that's good wordplay. It's great wordplay, and that's really important, man.
Like a tidal wave, and you grin it, wipe that smile off your face. On the Civic, I whip it, now I'm right back at your place. So expensive, don't mention, I still need 100K. And now we hit it, just like a tidal wave. And you grin it, wipe that smile off your face. On the Civic, I whip it, now I'm right back at your place. So expensive, don't mention, I still need 100K.
A little bit more sort of bass resonance here, nice. We're gonna have another chorus at the end, or? Okay, cool. That makes sense. There's great filtering of this vocal part as well. It's texturally different there to the verse. It helps to sort of like differentiate them.
On the Civic, I whip it, now I'm right back at your place. So expensive. attention, I still need 100K.
That was really pleasant. I'm just gonna go score things up and then we'll go talk about this track more in the conclusion. Now, welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Nikolas White, featuring Wynn Calcutt, titled Tidal Wave. Now, I think I gave the song an overall score of 7.2 out of 10, which is not a bad score at all. I think everything pretty much across the board was done well here. I was really happy with the vocals as well as the main motif. I think the production was especially good as well. I was really sort of happy with that. But to talk about this track in its various bits and pieces, I think lyrically this song is talking about the rapper's journey with themselves as a performer, as a musician, as a lyricist, as a songwriter. The thoughts are like a sauna coming on like tidal waves. So I assume that these are potentially overwhelming bits of inspiration for them. And they're sort of working towards that 100K, and they're very active, and they're going around quick with their Honda Whip, etc. And they also mention other people wanting them to sort of fail or like to not succeed there. And in the second verse, what I liked is that they discussed that, hey, you could have it too if you wanted to, as if to say it's achievable for you to just, stop being a hater and try and move forward and try and find something a bit more positive out of this. So I think ultimately that was quite satisfying. I think the vocal style there is discussing their journey as a musician, as well as like kind of coping with what other people expect them and trying to sort of like approach it different ways. I think a lot of people who are creative will be able to relate to that feeling of being overwhelmed by and stuff and feeling compelled to go on that journey, and I wish them all the best along that. I think that the actual rapping there, as well as the spoken sung part and the choruses part, some of the more melodic rapping perhaps, was great. We were very comfortable on the mic there. We had a similar sort of approach for a lot of it there. There wasn't really a lot of going away from a main sort of mood or sort of level, but I think that it was great as a storytelling device. It was nice and chill and palatable and accessible. There was a nice range of like different stuff happening with the vocals in the chorus section, stuff as the little overdubs and kind of talky bits as a cool response to the main lines there with the radio sort of filtered vocals there. It was nice to distinguish the vocals texturally from the verse and the chorus to help the listeners know what was going on with a motif that was pretty consistent in the background, aside from adding sort of guitar layers and stuff like that. I think ultimately they're part of the reason why it was a successful song is because of the fact that you had just enough variation there. It was great that we had an extra interlude at the end there to sort of flesh things out there before that final hook. We could have potentially added an extra lead line or done something a little bit differently with those to kind of make them a little bit more zazzy, but I also appreciate the fact that we were happy with what we'd had accomplished there, and it's okay if we want to stick with that. I think ultimately, it was quite a competent vocal performance from a rapper who was clearly very comfortable in their own shoes. They're expressing themselves, and it was very easy to understand what's going on. The words came through clearly. There was a lot of variation with the rhythm and stuff like that there. It was well done. Like no issues there at all. I think the song starts with this into bra 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 sort of synthy thing coming in with the claps there. Just the claps as well. They're not coming in too early with everything. With the bass and the drums and the full kit coming in eventually, and these guitar parts kind of working themselves around the sides of the mix there. I think if I talked about a few of the individual instruments before we move on, the reason I liked the bass is because it was very respectful to some of the harmonies or root notes instantiated by those synth and guitar parts. The guitar parts with the ba-da-dum-bum-bum-bum, which is just a great sort of melody or chordal pattern there. It sounded really fragrant in the mid-range on the sides of the stereo field, where there wasn't a lot else apart from maybe some drum parts and maybe some vocal takes on the sides there. And so I think that guitar take in the chorus to add a bit more oomph was a smart move there as well. I think there are a couple of different bass tones that we had in the midst of that, especially that later interlude section, but also some of the verse and chorus parts there, if I'm not mistaken. Not all the time, granted, but sometimes when they reinforced the low end very well. I think the drum parts that we had there were great there. I think that we had a nice sort of sense of palatability with the overall sort of like cymbal kick and snare patterns or clap patterns. We didn't really move away from it that much. We had variety with how often they were interpreted or put in there. I think ultimately it was a situation where we had them just enough in order to be able to incorporate a sense of groove that worked well alongside those basses and again those guitar parts on top. And that synth melody was just a nice, really sort of like great idea in the mid to high range there that kind of sparkled and was almost kind of rolling over like a wave, if that makes sense. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. I think structurally going between the intro to like the verse, chorus, and having the interlude and chorus was smart. The reason I mentioned in a higher lead is just because at getting close to 4 minutes, it can be good to maybe add a difference. But then we varied the basses, I think, in that last interlude section there. So I think that was totally appropriate. Like, it's great that we had a bit more oomph there. It's just making sure, like, I mean, like, we had another guitar part at the end there, to be fair there, like a variation with the guitar playing there with some picked chords and then like strum and like maybe the harmonic there. We could have, if we didn't already put it in, I'm 50-50 on it. If we didn't put some ocean foley in, it could have been cool to have that at the start, but maybe that also would have been a bit too much or on the nose. Either way, we have a track where I think it's trying to sort of incorporate the idea of being on a beach there. It almost sounds very sort of like colorful and sunshiny. There's no sort of harsh heavy elements there, even though there's bass and drums and stuff. They don't cut or sort of lower the mood too much. I think we have a theme there which never gets too sort of like minor-ish there. It's almost, there are extensions there to sort of muddy that a little bit, but it's so bright and fluffy at the same time that it almost sounds like a ray of sunshine. Ultimately, the instrument choices, the vocals, the story that's told there, as well as like the vocals are the main focal point here. All the combination of this come together to help you understand the rapper better, as well as to paint a really sort of like pretty picture of the atmosphere that they're trying to describe. And I think ultimately it's a really nice sort of salient combination there, without any sort of like there wasn't any filler, and I don't think there was a note out of place. Finally, the studio recording, mixing and mastering was tight. I mean, like, we had a great balance of things within the frequency spectrum as well as in the stereo field there. I think the guitars with a fragrant sort of clean electric tone to them kind of jangled a little bit. They had sort of like an indie-ish kind of sort of aesthetic to them that worked well with some of the more sort of hip-hoppy 808s as well as the drums there, and they niched together well in part because of how things were, again, niched in the frequency spectrum there. There was space for everything with the synths being on top there, so we leveled things well and layered things well there. I think that when the drums and the guitars and stuff weren't there, things floated, like the synths at the beginning. The vocals themselves are nice and clear. It was a solid recording. The vocals didn't sound overproduced there. There's a bit of filtering, getting rid of the low frequencies in that chorus section just to differentiate things, but it wasn't to a detriment and allowed more room for some of the sort of mid to low range to come through, like the kicks and stuff, so that was cool. There was dynamic range to this. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, but it was still quite a tight master in the sense that things were nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting were handled there. It sounded like a track that was definitely ready for release, and they ought to be proud of themselves, but this is my review of this track from an actor named Nikolas White with Wynn Calcutt, titled Tidal Wave, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help but more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.